Hey everybody, this is Sicksinz Gaming here, and what you're looking at right now will be a Cuphead review. Thank you for watching and enjoy.
Well, Cuphead and his pal Mugman, they like to roll the dice. By chance they came on Devil's Game, and gosh, they paid the price. Paid the price.
What can I say about Cuphead? It's actually one of my favorite games out there as of right now. So let me give you an in-depth explanation of the story. Now, there isn't much I can say about Cuphead's narrative without spoiling any its joyful discoveries, but it does remind me of the cartoons when I used to watch when I was little. But even though the game's inspiration comes from an era way before them. I mean, I was watching, Tiny Toons and stuff like that. This is actually the 1930s look, and I actually really enjoy the artwork. The game starts off with the scene of a book slowly panning in, revealing the first four words, "Once Upon a Time," as a dramatic jazz track plays in the background. It ends the same way as well, with the book closing, ending with a single word, "Finn." Its inspiration is obvious, and the game spares no expense in embracing it. Now, the studio has teased us with this bit of the story in its trailers, so I feel like it's justified to reiterate it. The gist of the story revolves around Cuphead and Mugman going after those who owe a debt to the devil. As for why they are doing the devil's bidding, the answer is quite simple though, because they gambled with the devil and lost. Now, as obvious as it may be, Cuphead is very much focused on its bosses, the folks who owe a debt to the devil, but the game also features these running guns type levels that offer you like a good break from the confinements of the boss fight, with levels that focus on platforming rather than learning the predictable patterns of a baddie. Now, there are also the only levels that where players may collect the coins, and that can be used to purchase like new weapons, new abilities, but I'm going to explain a little bit more later on that. Now, Cuphead does offer two difficulties, which is going to be simple and regular. Simple seems to be more on a normal basis, while regular seems more on the harder basis for me. But again, that's just my opinion. I did die a lot, but I'm not the expert at the game. I do suck at it a bit, but I still enjoy the game. Now, also, one feature I do like about this game is the boss battles they're not very predictable, but there's different phases. I remember it was like 3 phases for each bosses, and it's refreshing for me, especially for a side scroller like this. I kept going back for more, especially with the little witty comebacks when you end up dying and they have these little sayings, and I do really appreciate that, even though it's like kick to the walls. One thing I could say is Cuphead's art design. I cannot stop talking about it or even stop thinking about it. The only bad thing about it is you can't really appreciate it to its full capacity. It's because you're busy trying not to die. But other than that, it's astounding for me. I really do appreciate it. Everything's how it's hand drawn and watercolor. That's not digital, but it is. I should say though that it is digitally touched up at a later point though, before the game was released. Now, its music, in a similar fashion, was composed by Christopher Madigan and recorded with a live jazz orchestra. Sorry if I butcher his name. Accompanying the music are the sounds that they make their attendance right from the second the game launches, with the ambient noise of a rolling film. It's just one of those details that the studio, MDHR, has taken care of to create the impeccable atmosphere for Cuphead. All the other sounds and effects are just as detailed and joyful as the game's music and animations. Now, for the controls, Cuphead really relies on 3 abilities to proceed into the game, which is going to be the dash, the parry, and the EX, or as I call it, the special. A dash works, as the name suggests, by helping you get out of the way of enemies and their attacks, but the parry, however, it relies on quick timing and the judgment. It does require you to jump onto like pink color objects and you hit at the right time so that you could basically, have the parry go off. Sometimes it seems to be buggy with the animation from time to time. It's not as often, but I mean, it's a minor issue that I have with the game. Now, as for the attack that goes, it's possible to equip 2 of them at a time. They can be purchased with the coins that you collect from the run and gun levels. But the game does offer a variety of attacks, including one of them that makes like slightly easier, but it's like a chaser that shoots projectiles that follow the enemy. It's just basically like almost like a homing missile. And also, what else? Removing the onus from the aiming from the player but at the cost of reduced damage. So it's like it's a give or take of certain abilities you're gonna use. Now let's talk about the EX, or the special as I call it. It's something that you gain while you're in the battle, in the level. So basically it charges up as you're dealing damage to the enemy. Once Cuphead or Mega Man had dealt enough damage to gain 5 EX charges, it becomes possible to trigger a super, as the game calls it, which is what it is. It's powerful and it's life-saving, trust me. Like if you have 1 life left or 1 hit left, you can maneuver that into a lot of damage as well as to come out of impossible situations. Last but not least, let's talk about charms. These items, just as attacks, it has to be purchased with coins, and it can offer a variety of different enhancements for your abilities that you already have, like the smoke dash, as an example. It makes you invulnerable during the dash, so it allows you to kind of like teleport through enemies and any projectiles coming your way, rather than just hitting them, and getting hit when you try to parry them, aka me when I tried. Now, it's clear that Cuphead offers a number of different mechanics, each having a defined purpose that complements one to another in parts of the game, but however, in order to defeat Cuphead, you must have the patience to fail. It's similar to Dark Souls, or yeah, pretty much Dark Souls if you haven't played the game. It is a challenging game, but it's generous in teaching the player how to make itself easy if you're willing to learn. And the way I explain that is basically trial and error, to be honest. Just basic, or more or less on the run and gun. The bosses, even though they have the same amount of phases, they can change up the phases though on some of the bosses. I can't speak for all of them, but so far each boss that I played, that I failed on, it switched up its mechanics on me. In the order, I should say. Now, the game is great and everything, but I do need to talk about the issues that it does have. At times, I feel like I was fighting the game itself rather than the bosses that was throwing at me. With the difficulty set aside, there are some issues with Cuphead that needs to be addressed. Sometimes with the default control scheme, people can't argue you can switch it up, if you have a pro controller, or if you play on the computer, you can always just switch it up. That's the control scheme, but if you play on the default control scheme, it can be a little wonky at times, and especially its hitboxes. Sometimes you're shooting the enemy, and sometimes that one particular enemy, especially I should say in the running guns levels, you're not dying. So again, it's a minor bug. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it can be pretty frustrating. Now, all in all though, Cuphead has its gameplay figured out pretty much, and apart from a few technical issues, it executes the intentions of the excellent fashion that I really enjoy, which is going to be the art style, the music. In my opinion, the tutorial could be slightly improved, but again, those are my issues, not the game itself. That's just my opinion. But other than that, I'm not gonna lower the score in my opinion due to those issues. Overall, I enjoy Cuphead. As hard as it was for me, sometimes Cuphead made me feel like I need to hate myself for being really, really bad at the game at times. But to be honest though, I was really happy once I actually figured out, the boss battles, or some of its controls and stuff like that, and especially the design that it has. I really do enjoy it. It is a learning experience. Failure is not the end, but it's more of a steps towards perfection. I give this game, now honestly, it would be a 10 out of 10, man. I can't, even despite its flaws, this game deserves it. And right now, Cuphead is out on Xbox One and PC. Thank you for watching the review. What do you guys think about Cuphead? Have you played it? Let me know in the comments below. Once again, thank you.
Well, Cuphead and his pal Bugman, they like to roll the dice.